What's the best way to spy on your enemies? Sleep with their secretaries. New evidence is unearthed of East Germany's ruthless blueprint of Cold War espionage reveal for the first time stories of the agents sent to seduce young women working for West Germany and NATO's top leaders. Stasi was a secret police agency of German Democratic Republic or East Germany. Stasi was one of the most hated and feared institutions of East German communist government between 1950 and 1990. It is believed that Stasi was monitoring 1/3 of the population of East Germany at one point of time. In 2018, long after East Germany was merged with West Germany and Soviet Union had ceased to exist, a Stasi ID pass used by Vladimir Putin when he was a Soviet spy in former East Germany was found in the Stasi secret police archive in Resonant. If you are fascinated by Cold War espionage and covert operations, you are in the right place. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our historical explorations. Now let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's video, where we'll delve into the intriguing history of Ministry of State Security, better known as Stasi, the security service of the German Democratic Republic. Our story begins in post-World War II Germany, where the Stasi emerged from the internal security and police apparatus established in the Soviet zone of occupation. Picture this. It is the year 1950 and East Germany has just come into existence. The legislative wheels were set in motion on February 8, 1950, with the passage of a law that formally established the ministry responsible for the Stasi. But here's the catch. The Stasi's exact role wasn't explicitly defined in the legislation. Its roots can be traced back to the earlier Commissariat 5, influenced by the Soviet intelligence agency called KGB. As the East German state navigated its early years, its inexperienced intelligence service sought ways to maximize its modest funds. One significant approach involved the recruitment of informants. At its zenith, the Stasi maintained contact with approximately 170,000 civilian informants, creating an extensive network for its covert operations. This helped 1/3 population of East Germany be monitored constantly. The agents of Stasi were renowned for their ability to exploit every psychological trait or need to achieve their objectives. Out of this ruthless efficiency, the concept of Stasi Romeo was born. These operatives skillfully employed charm, sensuality, and a variety of disguises to obtain the information their superiors sought, especially intelligence about the West. In this video, we'll explore the origins, tactics of the Stasi, shedding light on how the secret police force operated during a critical period in history. Shedding light on how the secret police force operated during a critical period in history. The intriguing world of the Stasi Romeo was an initiative led by none other than Markus Wolf, often dubbed the man without a face, by his adversaries due to the prolonged mystery surrounding his appearance in the West. In his memoir, co-authored with Annie McLaughlin, Wolf, the mastermind behind the Stasi's main Directorate for Reconnaissance or the HVA, shared some compelling insights. According to Wolf, the connection between espionage and romance is nothing new. He shies away from taking credit for the creation of Romeos, stating, "The link between espionage and romance is no invention of mine. Since time immemorial, security services have used the mating game to gain proximity to interesting figures. But if I go down in espionage history, it may well be for perfecting the use of sex in spying." This quote sheds light on Woolf's recognition of the age-old relationship between espionage and romantic entanglements, emphasizing his pivotal role in refining the use of intimate relationships as a powerful tool in the realm of espionage. Just that this was not a typical honey trap for men, but women. The HVA had a whopping 224-page treatise. This document covered everything from specific Romeo cases to the intricate psychological profiles of women involved. And trust me, there were some accumulated insights. One of the Stasi agent's documents revealed that they monitored a lady for over 2 years before approaching her. She was later tasked to take pictures of documents inside American embassy in exchange of promise for marriage. That's all. According to one of the reports, approximately 80 Romeo operatives operated in West Germany between 1960 and 1990. The Stasi operations were meticulous, and while many of their relationships or honey traps failed, they knew they only needed a few devoted women informants. Now, when it comes to cover identities, the Stasi Romeos had a couple of favorites. Picture this: fellow single vacationer and a helpful neighbor. These were the go-to personas, especially when making that all-important first impression. And guess what? In the swinging 60s, Markus Wolf, the brain behind the Stasi's espionage moves, kicked off a recruitment drive, but not just any recruitment drive. They were on the lookout of attractive single men in East Germany. Talk about being strategic. It was all part of their plan to take romantic espionage to a whole new level. Some of the recruits would undergo HVA training. These agents would then target well-connected women working for the federal West German government or political parties. In one of the books on Stasis, an author writes, "Perhaps she had been left by her boyfriend, or her mother had recently died, or she didn't have many friends. When the Romeo approached her, he already knew everything about her likes and dislikes, her history too. One woman once said that the agent who approached her knew she was interested in the environment, and after 2 days, he was calling her a herbal witch. So they got to the point pretty quickly." In the shadowy world of espionage, the Stasi Romeos, with their meticulous planning, could uncover vulnerabilities that few could fathom. The Stasi officers, master of their craft, employed a unique strategy to identify potential targets. The strategy was that they discreetly paid scouts to infiltrate social circles, seeking out women who might be open to romantic advances. These moles became integral parts of friendship networks, discreetly gathering valuable information for the Stasi Romeo. This operator would meticulously tailor their looks, backstory and personality to align with the preferences of targeted women. It was the old-fashioned manners, flowers, wining and dining, and most importantly, these men listened to women. "He was the best ever lover I had," one of the victims went on to say. In fact, many former Romeo targets echo the same sentiment, stating that they were emotionally and physically fulfilled sometimes for the first time in their lives. These efforts made the target feel special in the relationship and built what the Stasi Romeo hoped to exploit: a powerful bond. Some women would do everything to preserve this bond with the Stasi Romeo, including spying. One of the Stasi Romeo's biggest catch was a CIA insider who shared confidential information in exchange of love. In 1968, West German student Gabrielle Gast, working on her research in East Germany, met a man named Karl Heinz, who unknown to her was Major Egon Lorenz of Stasi. She called him Karlisk. They became lovers, and Karlisk later revealed his true identity as a Stasi member to her. Gabrielle underwent Stasi training, excelling in clandestine photography, handling sensitive items and cryptography. Over the years, she rose to the rank of a senior government official within the BND, collaborating with the CIA and British intelligence. Her extensive intelligence gathering skills earned her many code names. Gisela Kaja Girard. She eventually prepared daily intelligence briefings for East Germany Intel head, and these were the same reports that were being read by the chief of West Germany Intel head. Imagine the level of leaks it must have caused and the damage. Throughout her career, Gabrielle remained loyal to her Stasi Romeo officer. Beyond Stasi Romeos, there were Super Romeos, whose charm was irresistible. A tough female interpreter, Juliet, in Paris was approached by at least 3 Romeos. All of them failed to charm her. Finally, a highly skilled, a Super Romeo successfully seduced the interpreter, who worked at NATO's command center in Paris in 1961. She began sharing NATO secrets with him during his visits to Paris. Over time, guilt stemming from her Catholic upbringing led her to desire confession. The Super Romeo was very smart. He arranged for an East German intelligence agent disguised as Danish-speaking Catholic priest to hear her confession. For a very long time, Juliet believed she had confessed her sins to a priest. Without an iota of doubt, Romeos and their victims were a huge blow to the Western intelligence agencies and their operations. Although Western agencies have never publicly acknowledged this fact. Wolfie, a former Stasi Romeo operative, stated in a 2017 interview that during his 4-year tenure as a Romeo in 1970s, he had seduced 12 women, roughly indicating the number of people drawn into the web of intrigue. Stasi Romeos were merely a small part of Stasi's operation. Stasi itself was an extremely capable intelligence organization. Stasi were prolific gaslighters. If someone looked like he might challenge the Communist Party's legitimacy or control, the Stasi systematically destroyed his life. They used blackmail, social shame, and threats, if need be, torture too. It's said that Stasi kept a crazy amount of meticulous records. Stasi files, if laid out together, would cover up to 69 square kilometer miles. Recording detailed personal information on a third of the populace required a tremendous amount of paper. It said that more pages of printed text were generated by Stasi than by all German authors from Middle Ages to World War II. In a surprising twist, a Stasi ID pass used by none other than Vladimir Putin during his days as a Soviet spy in East Germany was unearthed in 2018 from the Stasi Secret Police Archive in Dresden. Yes, you heard it right. Putin, the Russian president, once held a key to the secret world of Stasi. Putin, proudly recalling his past as a communist KGB officer in Dresden during the 1980s, has often mentioned his involvement. But what makes this discovery truly remarkable, that his Stasi past surfaced during a research into the close collaboration between KGB and the Stasi, two formidable intelligence agencies of Cold War era. But was Putin, the enigmatic spy, involved in the activities beyond KGB's purview? The Western media itself says that Vladimir Putin merely had access to Stasi facilities and that he never worked as a Romeo. It said that when East Germany and West Germany were merging, Putin witnessed protesters occupying the Dresden Stasi headquarters, while the communist security forces came close to opening fire on the protesters on December 5, 1989. The jubilant East Berliners had already breached the Berlin Wall in November. Mr. Putin was fluent in German at the time and has said he personally calmed down the Dresden crowd when they surrounded the KGB building there, warning them that it was a Soviet territory. But alas, 13 months later, on December 25, 1991, the Soviet President Gorbachev resigned and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics dissolved. Putin had by then been awarded a bronze medal by the Communist East Germany for faithful service to the National People's Army. After returning to Russia, Mr. Putin rose to become the head of Federal Security Service (FSB), which was the main successor to the Soviet-era intelligence organization KGB. He then went on to become the Russian president in 2000. Rest, they say, is history. Tell us if you enjoyed the spy stories of Stasis, their Romeos, and a part of Mr. Putin's life history. Give us your feedback in the comment section.